So I forgot to record an intro for the vid, but in this vid, I'm gonna be showing you how to put a fuel cell in your G37 coupe. It'll probably be the same for a sedan if you wanna do that also, but I'm gonna show you how to route the lines, how to wire the fuel pump, what relay you should get, where you should ground the wires at, pretty much everything you need to know to put a fuel cell in your car, I'm gonna show you. As of right now, the car is currently, it's not completely done, but all I gotta do is mount the cell in the rear and get a tune for it and it'll be done. So, but let's get right into the vid. I didn't really video me taking the lines out, but yeah, so right now we got the fuel rails out and the intake off. She is dirty, but I didn't really video me taking them off because I mean it's pretty self-explanatory. You got a few electrical connectors you got to undo, a couple bolts, a couple hoses, take it off, blah blah blah, whatever. You get down here, take the injectors out. So I just stuck duct tape where the injectors go because I'm not trying to have, it's gonna be sitting here for a minute while I'm waiting on parts to come in. But yeah, once my injectors come in, or once my fuel rails come in, I can start running lines and stuff. I gotta mount the tank in the back too, still. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. All right, so we got the rails installed. The line came out great, it's not hitting. Right there, it's a little tweaked, but I couldn't really do nothing about that. All the way installed, got the harness in. I'm probably gonna try to run this line through that little hole right there. And then that line has plenty of room to go through. And then I'm just gonna run them down and along the transmission tunnel and probably all the way to the back. Oh dang, I forgot it. But it's like right in this area. And that's where the lines would need to be anyways, so. Yeah, I will be back when I make some more progress. I'm gonna mount the fuel regulator about where I've got that light. Let me take this off. I'm gonna mount the fuel regulator about right there, somewhere in that vicinity, because whenever my intake's on there, the throttle body is just like right in front of that. It's like right in this area, but it fit. I'm not sure I stuck the intake on. It hits this wire here a little bit, but that's not gonna matter because it's just that hitting the wire. All right, it's been a few days. I had to wait on some fittings to come in, so I'll go down here, but I say we, but me. So I've got the fuel filter mounted and the fuel pump. So my line comes through here, feeds into the filter. The pump draws it from the tank through the filter to the pump, and then I'm gonna have my line. See, I've got this line right here, and it goes through this hole. That is my return line that I've already got ran, and it goes all the way up there and follows along the transmission tunnel. I still gotta tie it up and make it nice and tidy, but I've got all that done so far. So I got the tank. It's not mounted yet, but that's that one line comes up through there, and then so this is the feed line, that's the return line, and then I'll have some vents. I'll probably just use that one, and that one I'll cap off. But yeah, so all I got left to do is mount this fuel regulator up in the engine bay and run the lines for it. Run the line from the fuel pump to the rails, or from the fuel pump to the regulator, and from the regulator to the rails. This is the return line ran up here. I just got it chilling because the fuel regulator is gonna go somewhere right here. So I'm just leaving that hose until I figure out exactly where I need it. And yeah, I'm hoping this video can help some other people who want to put a fuel cell in their G37. I haven't found like no videos whatsoever on YouTube about it. for a G37 at least. I mean, there's other videos for like Hondas that other people have done. I mean, it's all essentially the same, so it doesn't really matter, but like I'm showing where you can route it on a G37 if you want to do it yourself. So literally you can just copy and paste exactly what I do and it'll work. But, or at least I hope so. It's obviously gonna work if I post this video, but yeah, so I'm just hoping to help a few people out for whoever is doing it. And yeah. Also, here's the culprit of who destroyed the inside of my car. Yeah. What do you have to say to that, Sassy? Nothing? Yep. Yeah, oh yeah. I got that's called PPF wood. And I'm gonna use it to make the floor. I'm gonna make a flat surface for the sail. That way and then I have to cut out a section. I have a little, because the sail's not perfectly flat, it has like a little sump in it. So I made this, oh yeah, there's my wiring for my fuel pump. It's a fuel pump relay, 30 amp. You'll need that if you're gonna do this. But yeah, it's my little cutout for the fuel cell. So that's where like the sump would be. And I'm gonna cut that out of the PPF wood. And sheesh. But yeah, I'm gonna cut that out of the PPF wood, and I'll probably, I don't know, I was thinking about like cutting out the actual floor, like from right here all around it, and just doing that. That way it looks a little better. And then like, I mean, you would still be able to see that, because like I can't really, like, I mean, I can't just move that. That's my amp and stuff for the Bose system in the G37s. But I don't know, I'll figure something out, make it look nice. I'm ready to drive this car again though, bro. It's been like 3 weeks because I've been having to wait on parts. But yeah. Alright, so I got the tank out right now. I'm gonna make the little platform for the tank that'll lift it up enough. And I'll probably do that tomorrow, but so far today what I got done is the return line. I ran it and I got it ready for a fitting to be put on it whenever it comes in. And I mounted my relay kit. So that wire goes down and it comes down here, comes out over there, follows, and it goes to the pump. And that's the power for the pump. Now all I have to do is ground the pump and the pump will be completely wired. What, bruh? What? What do you want? Wow. Alright, anyways. I also have that power wire ran down, or it goes into there. Goes into the car. Through where the fuel hat normally is. It goes down there. And then I have it ran along on top of the brake lines, zip tied to the top of them so it's not gonna scrape on anything. That's not done, that little piece hanging out. I'm still gotta zip tie it, but I gotta heat shrink that butt connector. And then it runs up through that little grommet, and that's where my battery normally sits to power. And you'll want to get a inline fuse and wire it in, and throw a 30 amp fuse in it. That way, if something happens to the circuit, you don't burn your car down. It'll just pop that fuse and you'll be good. Save you from burning your car down. I had the kit that I bought, I had to use some blue wire connected to the red wire. But as long as you know what it goes to, you're good. It's not, as long as it's the same gauge and you know what it is, then you're good. But yeah, so I'm still waiting on some fittings to come in. It's kind of why it's taking me so long. But tomorrow I'll mount the tank, and I'm finna finish wiring. I'm finna get all the wiring done, and I'll call it a night. But this wire right here will be my ignition wire, so I'm gonna tap into this right here, and it should be, so you'll notice that the black wire and the pink wire are thicker gauge. So that pink wire is 99% sure it's gonna be my power wire for the pump. That's ignition, that's keyed on or hot whenever ignition is on. And then that's a ground wire. And 2 of these are gonna be for the fuel level sensor on this side, because G37s have 2 fuel level sensors, one on the main unit and then another one on that unit. But I'm only gonna wire into the main one and see if that works to get my OEM gauge working, and if not, I'll figure something out. But I still gotta figure out which 2 are the fuel level sensor, and then the last wire, whichever one it is, will be for the fuel light. So like whenever you're low on gas, that fuel light will come on. I don't think I can really wire that in anyway, so it's either a fuel light or a fuel temperature. If it's fuel temp, then that's great. I won't have any lights on, but we'll figure that out whenever I get it wired, everything wired up and ready to crank. But so I'm gonna wire this to that pink wire. I'll probably cut it down here somewhere, leave a good bit of wire on this just so if I need to reuse this connector, I can. And then I have a ground that's on the other side over there that I'll probably wire to just the ground on this harness, because I know that's a good. All that will be hidden once the tank is in. You won't be able to see any of that. And eventually I'm probably gonna cut out a little section to cover up like all of this. Like you won't see any of that. But for right now, I'm just gonna get it mounted and good to drive and make sure everything works out good. I don't have any fuel leaks and all that, but that's where I'm at so far. So I'll be back whenever I finish wiring that stuff over there. All right, so I wired it already. That shit looks OEM, bro. I love the way that looks, bro. Always, dude, just go and buy some wire loom and just wrap it in it, bro. It'll look 10 times better. But I just left these 3 wires down here until I figure out which ones are which. So that way I'll know. I have a feeling it's gonna be the red and the yellow are gonna be for the fuel sensor, and then the gray one is gonna be like either the temp sense or the for the light on the dash, the low gas light or whatever. But I think it's just a temp. Yeah, so I'm gonna go out here and look at that, bro. OEM, bro. Like, and there's a big gap right there and under the seat, so you ain't gotta worry about it hitting nothing or getting pinched. And then that wire goes down to the pump. So you've got the yellow wire was ignition, the black wire was ground, obviously. The red wire was 12-volt power, and the blue wire is the power for the pump, and it is also fused. So you can get just a regular relay kit that doesn't have a fuse, but that's the power for the pump, goes to a fuse, and then goes to the relay. So if something happens to that power, it'll pop that fuse. If something happens to the main power, it'll pop that fuse. So double protected. You'd rather it be overprotected than underprotected, so. And that goes for stuff in life too, so. I'm not gonna worry about the level sensor until I get it running, because I wanna know everything works. So, all that's wired up. Only thing I have left to do is ground my pump. So, what are you doing, bro? Bonk. Bonk. Bro is the chillest cat I know. Alright, yeah, so I already showed you. I got the power for the pump, and now all I have to do is run a ground wire from this. I may run it back with this wire and then ground it like, I don't know, I'll find somewhere either on this or somewhere on something thicker. Just keep that in mind. It doesn't really matter where you ground it, just, I mean, it does matter, but somewhere on the chassis. Just somewhere on the chassis. It doesn't matter as long as it's somewhere on the chassis. But yeah, that's all I have left for wiring wise. Then all I have to do is run a hose from here. I'll probably route it the same place that this one is routed. I'll just have a 9 or a 150 or something going this way, and then it'll follow that hose. And I got it zip tied right there for now. Zip tied right there. I'm gonna cut those ends off, but it goes all the way up there. It's not secure up there because I just left some slack in it until I get everything finalized. But the feed line's gonna follow that same path. So it's gonna go from here to my regulator. But show you. Also did some stuff to the regulator today too. Mounted the regulator, and it's just like, it doesn't really matter where you mount the regulator. You can mount it in the back if you want to, just as long as you have everything ran right. So the two side outlets, this one and this one, are your in and out. So you can either have fuel going in or fuel going out right there. But those aren't your return ports. So like if you had it as an out, so like just for instance, this is how mine's gonna be routed. I'm gonna have the feed line going in this one, okay? And then it'll get it to the correct pressure, so it'll go through the regulator, pressurize it to whatever I need it at, and then excess will go out the bottom back to the tank, and then through here is where it's gonna feed over to the rails. So I thought I'd show kind of how you make these fuel lines. I know I haven't yet, but so basically you're gonna want to take some like tape. I mean, if you just need to make do with what you got, any painter's tape, masking tape, I mean, any kind of tape really will work if you just want to make do. But so before you cut it, you'll tape around where you're going to cut, and then you'll cut on the tape area, make it as flush as possible or as straight as possible. It's all right if it's slightly at an angle. But then once you get it cut, you're going to take the tape off. And you see I've kind of got that barbed, like kind of pushed back away from it. And I've got this little tool right here. It's kind of like a little, it's called a seal puller, or seal, whatever you want to call it, like a seal pick almost, but it's smooth so it won't harm anything. And I'm just kind of like taking it, and it's hard to do with one hand, but I'm taking it and I'm pushing it in between there, and then I'm going all the way around it. Just kind of real easy going with it because I don't want to mess up that inner part. And then you'll take, if I can find, oh, here's the one that goes with the one that I had. Okay, so you'll take this will, if you've, okay, so I've got PTFE hose, so mine will work with like E85. So this is only for PTFE hose. If you have any other type of hose, then you won't follow these instructions. But with PTFE, after you do that, you'll take this and you'll push it down on there, and you'll want that nylon inner part to be flush with, like, you'll see there's a little collar right there. You want it to be flush with that. Yeah, right there, that little collar. All right, so I've got that pushed. I've got that pushed down on there. If it'll focus. Come on, man. You just, there we go. I got that pushed down on there. Boom. The only part that's not flush is that little piece right there, but I believe once I put the fitting, you'll put this little fitting through there. Oh, dang. I skipped a step. before you put that on there, you're gonna want to put this piece on there, which I obviously didn't do. So it'll be like down here, but let me fix that real quick. So yeah, there we go. I put that piece, you put this piece on there first before you peel this back. There ain't no telling how many times I forgot to put this little piece on first. It'll be all right if you forget. It just makes it a little harder going on. But you put that piece on there first before you peel that back. And then you put that little piece on. So then once you've got that piece on there, you'll take this and you'll push it through there. If you put a little lube, like some kind of grease, not like you want to, if you got petroleum jelly, that'll work real good. So yeah, you can just put some of that on there. If not, I mean, I'm not gonna put anything on there because that's what I've been doing this whole time, but it'll make it easier. So yeah, you can do that. And you put that on there. Then once you push those together, it'll look like that. And then you'll push this piece up and it'll thread on and it'll pull those two pieces together and form a seal. Because on that little fitting, there's some little pieces that kind of compress the line a little bit to form a good seal. So, and that's how you make an AN line with, or a PTFE fitting line. And this line is gonna go from that fuel rail to that fitting. Boom, and just like that, I have that line made. Like I said, that's gonna go from that end of the fuel rail to that regulator. Okay, and back to what I was trying to explain the other day. So, instead of it coming out this rail and going back to the regulator, it's gonna come in the regulator right here. It's gonna go through the regulator, flow in this way. It's gonna come out this side and feed this rail, and then under it will be my return line. So I'll set the regulator at a pressure that I want, and then any excess pressure any excess fuel will run down the return line back to the tank. All right, after fighting with that bottom hose, I know it don't look like it'd be bad, but there is a coolant hose right here that I changed to a Z1 silicone hose with the upgraded aluminum bleeder valve, and it's just a little bit thicker. But straight, I got a 45-degree fitting right here coming down at an angle, and it's going straight down along the transmission down there. And I'm gonna zip tie it, and I got some fuel line holders. And then I also have another 45-degree fitting right here. Literally sits like flush with the back. Comes out, comes to here. All I have to do is run a feed line from the pump to right there, and it's gonna come through like right in there. I've got a 180. No, this isn't a 180. This is a 150, I believe. But I've got it to where it's gonna screw in right here. Literally face like perfectly to go through that little hole. And then I'll have a feed line, I'll have a return line, and I'll have my other feed line for the rails. Once I get everything ready to test fuel, I'll have to figure out what pressure this is set at right now, and then I'll have to fix the pressure. I believe, I'll have to look it up, but I believe that to mess with the pressure on this, you turn this little, you don't mess with the nut, you turn the, there's a little Allen for Allen key, and you turn those to compress the spring in there. I have to look it up to be sure, but we're getting closer day by day. All right, so just a heads up, do not, I know I told y'all earlier that you could use the OEM ground on wherever it went. You could use the OEM ground for the wiring harness. Hold up, if I can find it in here. Give me a sec. I told y'all to use this black wire and just ground the relay to it, but don't do that, because whenever I started it up just a minute ago, it was idling real bad. I was like, well, what's going on? But anyways, I think what was happening was voltage was backfeeding from this ground to the throttle position sensor, because it was throwing a throttle position sensor code and a too high voltage code for the throttle position sensor. So I think it was backfeeding into that, throwing it off, but cut it right there, and I just grounded it to the chassis. I'm gonna put this wire in the wire loom. I just wanted to make sure that that fixed it. But she runs and she drives. I still got 30 mils. Made the fitment a lot better, but I still got to go over here and cut out the wood and make a mount for the tank. So I can't really drive it yet, but I pulled it out here. I drove it out of the garage, so it runs and drives. I don't know, it smells like it's running a little rich. So with it being a higher volume pump, I don't know if to get it absolutely dialed in, I'll probably need to get a tune and them mess with the fuel mapping and stuff like that. But I don't think it's running bad or rich enough to where it's going to cause any catastrophic damage. But I'll keep y'all updated. So all I got left to do now is mount the tank in the rear, and then I can go drive it, make sure it does all right. So, all right. So I did end up going back and getting a Z1 Motorsports fuel regulator, just cause I also got a different gauge, just cause I did some reading and found out that the one that comes with the kit, the EVILENERGY one, this gauge isn't the best. It doesn't always read accurate, and it's not good at sending fuel back from the return port. So it'll send some back into the fuel rails and then cause it to run rich. So like, say I set this at 52 PSI, it would actually be probably closer to 60 because it's sending more fuel back into the system. But I went ahead and got the Z1 one just so I know it's good and the gauge is reading right. And I'm finna put the intake boots back on and I'm gonna crank it up, and then I'm probably gonna get some gas here in a second. All right, so I got all that buttoned up. Now we're finna start it. I know it starts. I've already started it, but so I brought the whip up to the shop, and as you can tell, it looks like it's missing something. Took the gas tank out. Yep. But now you can see my line's real good. So I just got them. Eventually I'm gonna get a thing and I'm gonna tie them up there a little tighter. But they follow the transmission tunnel all the way up here and go up there. It's kind of hard to see. I don't have the flash on. But yeah, and the regulator's like right up there through that hole. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of sick right now, but I realized I forgot to record an outro for the vid, and I also didn't record mounting the tank in the rear after I said about 15 bajillion times in the video. But yeah, I'm editing the video right now, and I mean, I've drove it around town 2 or 3 times and it's done fine. The only thing I had to go back and do is tighten up one of my lines. It was leaking just a little bit, and I also haven't made the like evap line for it to get the vapors out of the tank. But yeah, it runs and drives, and I mean, that's how you put a fuel cell in your G37. But yeah, so that's how you do it. Fuel cell's in, and now you can slam your car even more. I really appreciate you guys watching to the end of the video, and I just hope if you're watching this and you actually want to do this to your car, I hope it actually helps you, because I mean, that's really all I made it for. I'm not trying to I'm just trying to help somebody out that doesn't because me, I work in a mechanic field, so it's a little bit easier for me because I understand it more. But if you don't if you don't work around cars every day
and you need help with something, then that's what I'm hoping this video can do. But yeah, appreciate y'all watching to the end, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more. I got some big plans coming, so stay tuned. Peace.